Walters Arena would play host to the final round of the Britpart All-Wheel Drive Championship this season, a replacement for the opening round which, if you remember correctly, had to be cancelled in March due to snow, as well as just about everything else back in March, of course. This weekend though, thankfully, the weather wasn't too bad. Over the morning runs of the day, it will be Andy Di Giulio who leads the way. A good advantage in that lead as well would set him up nicely for the afternoon. Just behind him and on a charge in second place will be Mark Jacks. There would be just less than a minute's gap at this stage, and that is not a lot to make up, particularly on a course like this. But the advantage in that second place wasn't as big. Chasing Jacks down and taking third place for now will be Rod Parker with Dave Hooper alongside. Issues with the window steaming up would slow them on the first runs of the day, and a puncture on run 4 would slow them even more. But apart from that, it was going well. No problems to report for Mike and Margaret Bakewell. They probably would have liked some rain this weekend to level things out a bit, but that wasn't going to be the case. Third in the 8i class and fourth overall for now was a strong performance this early on. Martin James and Charlie Morgan will be getting to grips with their new car now. Its third event out and things were going well. Second in the 7i class, fifth overall. Meanwhile, it will be the 6i class lead for Andy Dare to start the day. There'd be a good class battle going on as well over the morning runs of the event. Just behind in the class would be Philon Parpotas, second in that class, seventh on the overall leaderboard, just 13 seconds between these two class rivals at this stage in the event. Ian Parry would make another good start to the event in class 8, frequent leader of the class, and this weekend would be no different, also taking at this stage 8th overall. It would be a weekend of testing for Andy Powell and Mason Kershaw, getting themselves ready for an upcoming hill rally. They end the morning with 9th overall, third in the 6i class, a steamed up window on the first run being their only issue. And rounding out the top 10 leaderboard at this stage were Mike Cheriton and Samantha Alford, the pair taking part in the Safari Light class. This weekend, their first time out on all-terrain tyres, so it would be a bit of a learning curve right from the start. Let's take a look then, as we always do, at some of the places outside of the top 10. And it would be 11th overall for Alex Freeman, taking second in Class 8 with those times at this stage as well. For Keith Wild, it will be 12th place overall, also taking third in the 7i class. It would be third in Class 8 for Rob Boole and Matthew Rowland. A good start on the podium already in this increasingly competitive class. For Jasmine and Tim Philpott, meanwhile, it will be 14th place on our leaderboard. Fourth in the 7i class will be theirs at this point as well. A good championship result on the cards if they could manage a good, solid finish this weekend. And just behind the Philpotts on the overall result will be Lizzie Jones, fourth in 8i at this stage as well, 15th overall. It would be a great start to the event for Andrew and Adam Wirtz. They would take the lead early on in Class 4, not bad for their first outing after a 17-year break from competing. And it would be fourth in Class 8 for Daryl Hardy at the midway point, settling into 17th place overall as well, the times getting faster as the day went on. Harry and Jason Nickel will be fighting for a top 10 finish in the championship this season. They come into this round 1 point up, so a good result would be key. They end the morning with the Class 7 lead, 18th overall, and crucially doing what they needed to do at this point. And importantly for Nickel, they were beating their main rivals. Leighton and Luke Dodds sitting just behind them on the overall results in 19th. Just 4 seconds between them at the midway point, shaping up to be an interesting battle into the afternoon for that top 10 spot in the series. For Di Paul Hansen, it will be second in Class 4. A few more crews out in the class this weekend and the competition was looking good. For Andy Kent and James Withers, it will be fifth in 8i. it's fair to say the season had had its ups and downs for the pair, so they were just looking to get to the end this weekend on a high. Richard Mayer-Barron and Claire Golding already had the Class 1 championship in the bag. This weekend then would be about the overall championship finish, and their competition had changed. A few mistakes on run 4, hopefully, weren't a sign of pressure getting to the pair. And that competition for them in the class would still come from James and Philippa Tennant. Only this weekend, they were switching seats. James taking his first seat at the wheel of the Freelander, and things seeming to be going well. A recurring engine mount problem, though, would be rearing its head once again. For Stephen Nichols, it would be third place in Class 4, lying in 24th place on the leaderboard for now. And Anthony Wirtz and Tony Rooney will be mixing things up a little. Anthony's first event as a driver, Tony jumping in as navigator this weekend. They do get lost on the first run though, never a good sign. Just behind Wirtz and Rooney on the overall leaderboard will be Tom Rimmel, a maximum on run 4, putting him a little way down the order. And it would also be the same story for Stuart Williams, somewhat out of position. His maximum coming on the first run of the day though. The bottom end of the leaderboard would all be following a similar sort of pattern. Charles Dunn and Stevie Wake getting a maximum on run 3 of the day, meaning they have to settle for 28th place at this stage. And it would be exactly the same for Adrian Beer, run 3 being the one that puts his overall position back down to 29th. It'd be a mixed bag of good times and maximums for Mark Hones. 2 maximums, in fact, meaning that what could have been a podium position looking at the pace was now 30th place overall. And we'd be looking at 2 bad runs to start the day, leaving Bruce Mallet lying at the very bottom of the results, 31st position. So with the morning runs complete, surprisingly full of attrition here at Walters Arena, there are some fights developing throughout that leaderboard. Let's head into the afternoon now to see how those results were decided. Frustratingly, we'd lose Charles Dunn and Stevie Wake. They run out of spare tyres and have to call it a day. They do, however, take the Class 4 championship victory for the season. An early bath and perhaps an early beer to celebrate. And it will be 23rd place to finish the event for Andy Kent and James Withers, taking 6th in the 8i class with that result after a maximum on run 6. A maximum on run 7 would put Lizzie Jones a little further down the leaderboard than she would have wanted, and probably as she'd expected, ending the day with 22nd overall. No more problems though for Stuart Williams, putting in some good times for the rest of the event to end the day with 20th overall, 4th in 8i. There would be no advancing though on that close battle for the 6i class for Philon Parpotos. A maximum on run 7 will put an end to that challenge, meaning 18th place overall. A puncture in the afternoon would ruin a close fight for Class 1, as far as James and Philippa Tennant were concerned anyway. They were fighting for the lead in the class, but would lose 2 minutes with that puncture, dropping them down to 19th overall. For Stephen Nichols, it will be 3rd place in Class 4. No change in the class into the afternoon stages, and ending the event with 18th overall. And there'd be no change in the class either for Di Paul Hansen. 2nd in Class 4 was his 17th on the leaderboard. With the Tennants out of the Class 1 fight then due to that puncture, Richard Mayer-Barron and Claire Golding could relax a little into the final runs of the day. It had been a close battle all day as well, not the way they would have liked to have taken the class win, but certainly a welcomed result all the same. Meanwhile, it will be 15th overall at the end of the event for Anthony Wirtz and Tony Rooney. This only the first time out driving the car, which Wirtz had only picked up the week before, so their 3rd place in 8i was a good one. For Leighton and Luke Dodds, it will be 5th in Class 8. They do have a bit of a moment towards the end of one run where they almost roll the car, but they get away with it, ending the event in 14th. That, though, of course, good news for Harry and Jason Nicol. Their fight for a top 10 championship spot had gone their way, taking the Class 7 victory 13th overall, and importantly, taking 10th in the championship this season. It will be a pretty straightforward day for Daryl Hardy. A good result today would see him taking 6th place overall as far as the championship standings were concerned. And it would be a good finish after a long absence from the driver's seat for Andrew and Adam Wirtz, taking the win in Class 4 and finishing just outside our top 10 overall in 11th. Oil pressure issues on the last run of the day would frustratingly lose Mike Cheriton and Samantha Alford a couple of minutes when they had to stop midway round. But they do take the Safari Light maximum points and a time that would have seen them around the top 10 overall leaderboard. On to that top 10 then, and it would be a good result for Jasmine and Tim Philpott. They round out our top 10, and the finish this weekend would secure them 7th on the overall standings for the championship in 2018. What a great first season in the driver's seat for Jasmine. For Keith Wilde, it will be 9th this weekend. That result's good enough for 3rd in 7i as well. Keith also taking 5th place overall in the championship for 2018. For Rob Bull and Matthew Rowland, it would be 8th. The results, combined with Victoria Vaughan's, who started the season off, would mean 9th place overall in the championship this season. It would be a strong result this weekend as well for Alex Freeman, 2nd in Class 8, 7th overall. Andy Dare keeps hold of the lead in the 6i class to the finish of the event, getting him the class win and 6th on the overall leaderboard. For Ian Parry, it will be the Class 8 victory, a great way to end a good season behind the wheel, taking the final step on the podium in the championship standings this season as well, helped, of course, by his 3 daughters who have all taken their turn in the navigator's seat throughout 2018. There were no problems at all this weekend. A straight run for Martin James and Charlie Morgan. The car not needing anything other than fuel. A good end to the day as well sees them just outside the podium places here at Walters Arena with 4th, taking 2nd in 7i. On to those podium places then, and it would be 3rd for Mike and Margaret Bakewell. That result ending a strong season for the pair who take the runner-up spot in the championship as well. For Rod Parker and Dave Hooper, it will be 2nd this weekend. A great first season in a car capable of victory. Sadly though, that win eluding them for now. It can't be far away though, and for 2019 they'll certainly be ones to watch. But for this weekend, it would be the overall victory for Andy DiGiulio. Championship points not really a factor with too many events missed in 2018, but victory would be welcomed as a great way to end this season. So confirmation then of the results here at the final round of what has proved to be an exciting season for the Britpart All-Wheel Drive Safari Championship. And that is it for 2018. If you missed any of the action, you can find it all on our social media to watch on demand at any time. And keep an eye out as well for any news on the 2019 season while you're at it. Thank you for watching Special Stage.